Welcome to yet another event by ICF Jordan. The event today is called Caring for My Wellbeing and My Loved One. It will be delivered by Nael Soudi, who has over 40 years of experience in the medical field in multiple countries, in various institutions. Nael has become a coach. Nael has been a coach since 2023. He's life transition coach and mentor. And Nael will be talking about our topic. He has asked that we leave our comments and questions to the very end. You're welcome to leave your comments in the box in the chat until the very end. So the last 20 minutes will be a Q&A session. During the presentation, we'll pay attention to your questions and note them down for the very end. So without further ado, Ahlan Nael, please go ahead.
مساء الخير جميعا. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So أول إشي, I really have to thank everyone for taking the time to be with us tonight. رح نحكي على موضوع very interesting. During this discussion or this conversation, I will actually share my own story to make it realistic rather than في حدا قاعد بس بحكي لنا شو لازم نعمل and how to deal with things. يعني هاي البرزنتيشن بهديها لوالدتي نبيلة who passed away 2019 during her sickness كان عندها Alzheimer's. I was part of her journey. This is what inspired me to do life coaching, and this is what's inspiring me actually to work with home caregivers. لأنه I really understand what it is to go through all this. I really understand how difficult it is. والواحد ما بيسأل وين دوره بكل هاي المواضيع. Something interesting about what's happening with us as home caregivers. When we are actually in the eye of the storm, we see nothing but the storm. So we are here inside. We have no idea what's happening outside. And we always hope with another perspective, with maybe a life coach, maybe with someone who will help us, that we get out from here and just see things from the outside. And this perspective actually makes a huge difference on how we deal with issues. So, الدiscussion فيها عربي وإنجليزي. I will speak both languages. But here's what's happening when we care for a loved one. Because دائما الفوكس على المريض بكل إشي. The whole life revolves around the patient. And rightly so طبعا. But many times we forget about ourselves. So tonight, it's not about the loved one. It's not about the patient. It's about you. It's about us. It's so interesting كيف إحنا البرسبشن تبعنا بالحياة. We want guarantees لكل إشي صعب. Meanwhile, نمشي بالحياة بدون أي guarantees. So basically, I would like to use this motto which says, relax, nothing is under control. So as an example, I hate to really make this so trivial, بس لما نروح الشغل الصبح من في نقعد بالسيارة, we go to work, we don't overthink راح أوصل ما راح أوصل, راح يصير معي حادث, راح يصير عندي مشكلة. I just do it. But for something that is more important, we keep asking for validation. We keep asking إذا كل شيء ماشي منيح أو لا. ودائما بنخاف من المجهول, مع إنه whether we like it or not حياتنا كلها مجهولة. So in today's discussion رح نحكي على challenges, رح نحكي على possible solutions that we all go through when we care for loved ones. We will share experiences, and ultimately we will ask how can life coaching actually help the caregiver, the home caregiver. And if I go back in time وكنت أعرف إشي عن life coaching, which I did not, unfortunately, I would have definitely spent an hour a week to talk to someone about what I'm going through. So I understand more what is happening. I think أهم to understand more أنا وين دوري في المعادلة. And this actually was the challenge for me. It took me some time to figure it out. إنه أنا وين دوري بهاي المعادلة. الواحد بيشوف أمه أو أبوه أو طفله أو أخته أو أخوه شخص دائما very strong و all of a sudden بصير very weak. بصير واحد مش فاهم شو عم بصير. أوكي؟ بصير يقول طب أنا وين دوري بكل هاي القصة؟ Should I what should I do? How do I deal with these things? وكيف أنا بدي أرتب أموري؟ كيف بدي أرتب حياتي؟ لأنه أنتم عارفين أي حدا بدخل بهذا الموضوع حياته بتكون عبارة عن كيوس. بيته أو بيتها، شغل الواحد، بيت أهله، إذا المريض أو المريضة هناك، زائد المرض نفسه مع الشخص. فبصير يحاول يرتب الأمور بس كلها chaotic. So let's talk about the challenges that we actually go through. Okay? There are 6 lists of challenges. I'm sure there are more. Okay? One of the very interesting one actually is the physical exhaustion. We are tired all the time. وهذا الحكي ببين اكثر على الستات. احنا من الزلام as you will know. انا بعرف حالي minority ولازم احترم حالي بهذا الجروب، بس honestly احنا زلام it doesn't really take much. بنفيق الصبح من المشرط ونضلنا مروحين. بس when you see a woman caring for a loved one you notice قديش الارهاق مبين عليها وقديش الارهاق عملها مشكله. Ultimately you are all beautiful inside and charming, but what I'm trying to say إنه this really takes a toll on us, and we'll go through each one of them. So the most important one as a subgroup of the emotional and mental strain هو الجلد. هاي مشكلة كتير كبيرة. منضلنا نسأل حالنا okay منضلنا نسأل حالنا are we doing the right thing? Have I done enough for my loved one? بضل المخ الواحد دائما شغال وبسمع عن دكتور تاني بقول يلا خلينا اخذ المريض عنده او المريضه عنده، خلينا نسافر، خلينا نروح نشوف نجيب. بصفي المريض عباره عن ميديكال كيس بتلف بين الدكاتره with due respect to them of course، وبندخل على النت وبندخل بالديتيلز اوف ذا ديتيلز اوف ذا ديتيلز، وبنضلنا دائما عندنا شعور انه am I doing enough or not. And this is important انه احنا at one point ما بدي اقول كلمه لازم لانه كلمه لازم بالحياه مش منطقيه. We should try our best and be realistic with what's happening and just go with that journey. Okay? So شعور الذنب كتير كتير مهم. الجلد is really really difficult to deal with and it takes time. وأنا maybe on my humble experience I felt that is a very important thing that I went through until I figured out where my role is. Okay? I will not go through each one. أكيد definitely هدول straightforward أو ممكن بالآخر نحكي عنهم. Lack of sleep also is a big one, where I keep thinking about what's happening. I keep worried about what's happening to the patient. وشو عم بيصير معاه وشو حكى الدكتور وشو حكت الممرضة. I am on alert 24 hours a day 7 days a week. وإذا درجة الحرارة طلعت عن النورمال 37 وصارت 39 صار عندنا مصيبة. So this is something we also have to think about إنه how to manage الإيموشنز تبعونا and not to be on alert all the time. Of course finance becomes a challenge. Okay? لأنه all of a sudden بصير عندنا additional finances احنا مش حاسبين حساب هذا المريض. واذا احنا كان مطلوب منا انه ندير بالنا على اهلنا ولا غيره we feel the burden انه احنا all of a sudden صار في عندنا extra expenses. عندنا ادويه، عندنا هيلبرز، عندنا دكاتره رايحين جايين، عندنا nurses, etc., etc. Okay, and I just want to talk about this part at the end, again with due respect of the insurance companies. احنا اوقات ما بنكون فاهمين الانشورنس ايش بغطي. اوكي، انا واحد منهم. And this is based on true stories where I took my mom الله يرحمها على المستشفى I realized انه الانشورنس بغطي inpatient only, in the hospital only. So اذا هي بالطوارئ او المريض بالطوارئ was not admitted, then you have to pay everything للطوارئ وكل البروسيجرز. So it's very important احنا نكون عارفين really شو نوع التأمين وايش بغطي.
Nael,
Yes.
may I just interrupt? Only because I think people assume the presentation will be in English. Much respect to our language. العربية أهم لغة في العالم. ولكن we have a participant called Anita. So Anita, are you okay with Arabic? I just wanted to check. I sent a question. She didn't reply. I don't know if she's still there.
So I'll keep going mostly in English. Okay?
Oh,
no problem.
Okay. Come on.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Definitely. Okay. So, of course, another issue is the social isolation, where ultimately we don't see anyone for a while. And because we are obsessed and part of all this, which is totally understandable, this is all we talk about. We go out with friends, we go out with families, and all we talk is about what's happening. So we actually are in the storm and we are unable to get out of it. And that takes time. And definitely, we have no personal time. There is no me time in all this formula, unfortunately. And definitely, there is also relationship challenges. So we can take an example of a lady who is married and she goes and takes care of her mom or her dad, and she's there most of the time. I mean, if the husband and the kids are not supportive, I'm sure there will be difficulties in all this, you know, of what's happening all the time. And at the end of the day, we always feel alone. No matter how much support we have, okay, this champion in any family who is taking care of everyone and the sick person definitely feels alone, no matter how much there is support for that person, because everything is actually, you know, a weight on our back. Of course, definitely there is no time to be relieved. As I said, we are always looking at the net, asking different people about the best physician, and going and trying different ones. And unfortunately, I hate to be negative, but this could be reality. You know, this is the best thing that could happen. I mean, this is the best scenario. There's nothing better, okay? Maybe the disease is difficult, especially at the end of the journey, and there's actually nothing to do. So sometimes I feel if we do that, we're actually wasting our time. Meaning we have to do our homework, definitely. All right, who is the best physician, the best hospital, the best lab, the best x-ray, etc., the best nurse. But at one point, we have to understand there's nothing we can do. And it's better to spend time with this person rather than just keep trying and fighting what is the destiny of that person. We always feel unprepared. And because we are alert all the time, our life may not be that organized. Or actually, the patient's life may not be organized. So how many times we realize that at 12 at night, there's no Panadol, okay? Or maybe at 1 o'clock in the morning, someone tells us, or the helper tells us, or whoever is taking care of the patient, listen, at this time, we need to get, Panadol. We need to get whatever it is that the patient needs. So one thing we can do, really, is to get things very organized, is to have this medical or medicine store where it has everything, because they really don't expire that quickly, and make sure everything's available, because this is an additional task that we have to do, and it could come at the worst time. Of course, it will come at the worst time, right? And it just becomes additional task, additional thing that makes us even more frustrated. Uncertainty about the future. Let's talk about this and really think and reflect on these very strong words. Denial. We all go through it, and I think it's part of the acceptance, which comes later on. But in this scenario, we are asking ourselves, and again, I'm one of them, where do I fit in this formula? Okay. And then to me, it took some time to figure out, and maybe because I work in the medical field, okay. Number one, where do I stand in all this? So the way I dealt with it is as follows, okay. God has a plan for this patient, okay. So no matter how much denial I do, no matter how much I fight it, no matter how much I resist it, it will not help. Number two, we have the patient. The patient is going through a medical care, and if I work with the right people, then it is what it is. And I really should not really interfere much, okay? If I trust them and I just let that part keep going on its own, okay? And then the last thing is me. So there is God, there's a patient care, and there's me. And I finally realized what I need to do is love, support, and be present with that person. No more, no less. Okay? So spending an hour every day is much better than trying to squeeze it somehow on the weekend and spend there 6 hours. Okay? And that's something we will talk about in a minute. We also have to understand the progression of the disease. So our expectations are realistic. It is really painful when we know about those difficult diseases, right? But also we need to be realistic of where this is going so we can deal with it, because this is a long-term thing, okay? We're just like a mobile phone, right? If we keep it on all the time without any recharging, then it will not do its job. And that's what we go through. And then unfortunately, and I also hate to say that, but sometimes we have to go through end of life decisions when we have a patient and it's coming close till the end of what it is that we're supposed to do. And here becomes an issue, even with some of our siblings, even our kids, our friends, where they may not be as involved. So they may not actually know how bad things are. And this is actually going till the end of the journey. And this is where we try to be a bit patient and explain to them, unfortunately, mom is not doing very well. And if some of us have brothers, sisters, or whoever family members outside the country, we cannot just keep telling them everything is nice and everything is okay. Okay, because at the end of the day, we might actually cause harm more than helping. Okay, and if we feel actually things are not going very well, and the physician comes and says, you know what, this is not going very well, I'm really sorry, we might have maybe 2 more weeks. And it's very wise to call our family members who are away to come and spend this last few weeks with the patient. But here's the interesting part. In different types of patients and diseases that are long-term, okay, many times the patient is not in pain. And we have to keep reminding ourselves that the patient is not in pain, or his pain is being managed. But actually the pain is with me as a home caregiver, because I worry about this person, I'm there all the time, and I'm trying to manage all these different things. Okay, so let's talk about possible solutions. And it's very important to remember, it cannot be copy and paste. What works for one individual does not work for another. What works for one patient may not work for the other. And you hear stories, and some of us are actually part of it, when we go to another doctor and we don't think the experience went very well. Okay, nothing wrong with the physician, but somehow it did not work. They might even prescribe certain medications for the patient, but my patient did not do very well versus another. So we need to keep thinking about that. There's a lot of mental games that are happening with us. Okay, so the first thing we do, and I think women are fantastic in this, okay, no disrespect, but I'm trying to realize as I grow older and my hair gets grayer, that we as men, we bottle things inside us because it's part of our ego, specifically our Middle Eastern ones, like myself and others, okay? But women, they understand the feelings, they understand their emotions, and they let go, okay? And as we talked about a few minutes ago, the big question comes is, where do I stand with all this? Love, support, and just be there, okay? It's very important to have a specific routine where the patient, of course, as much as possible, where the patient, myself, and everyone around them really go by a routine. What time the patient wakes up, what time they go to bed, what time they should eat, what time they should have their medication, you know, just like clockwork, just like a typical army hospital, let's say, or a typical army system where everything is done really on time. And I know that's difficult, okay? And many times we take the role of the martyr, okay? Or the person who wants to do everything. But it's very wise to let go and have others who are helping us out to do what they're supposed to do. Of course, we monitor, okay, we ask questions, we see what's happening. If it's in another home, like my parents' home, I will go to unannounced visits at different times, just to tell the person that I'm there with you to support you. Okay, and ultimately, if things don't go very well and we need help, we can ask العون, مؤسسة العون, we can ask مؤسسة الملاذ, or we can have help from a life coach who can work with us and make sure that we put things in perspective. Okay, so it's very important that we let go, and this is very difficult, really difficult to let go. But for our sanity and for the long-term commitment that we have with this patient, we have to let go. Number one, we let go of what God wants, really, whether we are religious or not, irrespective of what our religion is, let God do his work. Because I truly believe that God knows what's best for the person, and I truly believe in chronic diseases, God makes sure that when this person leaves, he is actually minimizing the upcoming pain and a longer journey, which we all know it may not actually go very well. We have to leave the doctors, again, after we establish the trust, to do their work. The same thing with nurses and those who support them. We should do our best to take care of ourselves. It's very important to stay connected with the outside world and get out of the storm that we mentioned. That's really, really important. And the last part that is really, really difficult is to disconnect, total disconnection. So the way I did it, it may not be the best way, or it might not work with everyone, but I decided to disconnect every Saturday. So I used to go to my mom's home every day. She lives very close to my work. I will go spend an hour and two. And a friend of mine asked me, does she realize who you are? Does she recognize you? To me, it was not really important. To me, what's important is I'm there for her. I can get some work done. I can sit down and she's lying in peace, watch a football game or whatever. Okay? But this connection is so important because we have to get out of this vicious cycle that we are in every day. And really, a Saturday, a Friday, half a day, whatever it is really important because this is the time where we go back to ourselves and reflect about what's happening. And we might actually get better ideas. We might think about the process in a different way. So at the end of the day, it's all about you. It's all about me. It's all about us. To look at the whole concept and see how we can deal with it. Okay? So there are always decision-making that we have to do, and these are many times difficult. And this is where we communicate with our family members and say, if I am taking care of this patient, you have to trust me with my decisions. I will not seek approval from everyone every minute that I want to do something. And that's really important because if we have too many people working on this, it doesn't work very well. Okay? And what we're trying to do is not to limit their interaction, but rather when it comes to the decision making, only one person should do that, okay? With the agreement of everyone, with the trust of everyone. And I worked with some clients and actually some other friends who've been going through this. And actually what was making it difficult for some of them was actually they all wanted to see their mom at her late stages of her life. And they will all come 2 or 3 days. Then because of their schedule, they cannot make it to the other days. They will feel guilty, they will feel uncomfortable and all that. And then one of them, of course, the savior, right? There's always a savior in every family, has to leave her home or his home and go uncover for the other days. Of course, being in the eye of the storm, they did not see, okay, and rightly so, that if they have a simple schedule on the fridge, okay, of who goes, when, everyone will get to see her, everyone will be there supportive, and everyone will take a break because they need to take a break. Letting go is very important. And the way I look at it, actually, I'm carrying all these different stones. I need to find the biggest one and let it go, okay? And this could be, like we said, just leaving God do what he wants, work with the physicians and let them do what they want, okay? But not to micromanage the whole process every day. And one of the letting go issues actually could be something simple, okay? So your brothers or your sisters come to the house and there's a helper there, if we are fortunate, okay? And that day she did not do the dust on the table. So is that a big deal? So in the whole big picture, actually it's not, okay? So we need to think about that and really pick our battles on what is it really worth really going after, okay? But the other things, they don't actually become important in this whole scenario. And the last thing is perception, okay? I have worked at King Hussein Cancer Center for 10 years. And one thing I have learned from it, I was the lab director then, okay, is one thing, that people look at the same problem from different angles, okay? And many times I would talk to patients. And I remember this case where I spoke to 2 patients. One of them is sitting down, very depressed, has, I think, her daughter with her. She was on the phone all the time. It's very clear that she was late to her work, but she had to take some time off to bring her mom to take blood and leave, okay? And there's another lady who is sitting down. I'm not saying happy, of course not. She's not on the beach, definitely, but she's more calm. She's calmer. So I decided to speak to both of them. So I spoke to the first person. She said, you know what? I don't like what I have. I don't know why God chose me out of all these people to give me this cancer. So she was basically a martyr, shahida, okay? And she was going through all this, and trust me, everything goes wrong with this person because the perception, the way they look at this is different, and it's very negative. I'm not saying people should look positive on a cancer case, but if you give me a second where I go to the other patient and she says, you know what, I'm a believer. God chose whatever he chose, and I have this disease. And then she started telling me all the blessings that is going on. She said, number one, I'm 100% covered. If I live in many of the European countries, I may not be covered for cancer. Number two, people treat me very well. Number three, she says, all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but she was saying that because of her disease, she became closer to her kids because now they have more time for her. And she said, my daughter comes every day, she cooks for me, and we sit together. But maybe few months ago, she was unable to do so. But now she was able to find time for me. And she said, when it's time for me to go, I will go. So it's the same disease, it's the same situation. But when people have a different angle, when people look at things from a different perspective, it will be more definitely helpful. Let's go back again to us as caregivers. Yes, please.
Nael, yeah, I just wanted to say something here.
Please.
The patient also, it's not just the caregivers, but also the patients go through different stages, particularly if it's a terminal illness. And we know the first phase is always rejection. Then it is anger. Then it is negotiation. Maybe if I do this right, maybe I will live longer. Maybe if I'm kinder to people, God will give me more time and things like that. And then the final stage is submission and acceptance. So definitely there's a perspective, but these phases, I think, are sort of standard across all patients. The perspective of being positive or negative is obviously determined by other factors, but these are, this is like the proven psychology of patients going through a terminal illness. I just wanted to make that.
I totally agree. But this is a cycle, and it has steps that we have to go through. Some patients are able to move from one to the other. Others, they get stuck somewhere, and we need to help them. Okay? And again, there's no really, and that's something we will talk about at the end, there's no magic formula. Okay? No one said this is easy. So let's go back again to our caregivers. So this is our heart, this is our love, emotions, dedication, and with time, it actually gets drained. Okay? And if we go back and say, this is the patient right here, and this is me, it doesn't make sense. I know it's difficult for me just to fade actually before the patient. Okay? So I need to keep that in perspective. I need to be powerful. I need to get help. I need to get support. I need to be, working with this patient because this is a long-term disease. And emotions can take me for so long. So is this you? Is this me? Is this anyone who is actually looking after a patient? Are we overwhelmed? Yes. Are we stressed? Absolutely. Are we emotionally drained? Are we lonely? We feel all these things and even more. And many times we don't ask for help. We don't ask for help, but help is there in so many different ways. So ultimately, we need to know that we are not alone. There are people around us who can help us. Okay? And like I mentioned, just 2 organizations. I know there are more who can really help us and help the patient. So let's talk about life coaching. So how can life coaching actually help a home caregiver? So the home caregiver will be working with a life coach, right? This person, he or she, is a professional certified life coach and definitely has empathy. I know relationships are important. I know career path is important. I know executives are important. But in this particular scenario, empathy is so important because this is what keeps, in my opinion, the life coach gives more because he or she understands what the caregiver is going through. Because ultimately, there's a human being involved. The coach will be actually a partner in the caregiver's journey from the beginning till the end. Okay? It doesn't have to be every day, it doesn't have to be every week, but every once in a while, we get this call from our caregiver who would say, I need to talk. Can we go out and have coffee? And you know what? It doesn't have to be a typical life coaching session. And tell me about what you're feeling today and how is your day going. Let's just have coffee and listen and see how things go. It's very important that we share experiences. Okay, those of us who are doing this line of work, specifically for caregivers, and who has been through this journey in the past, can actually share experiences. Okay, can suggest few avenues and let the client decide which one. Because many times the client, as you will know, whether it's career coaching or relationships or others or self-confidence, whatever you want to call it, many times they don't see what we see as life coaches, just simply because we are looking from outside and have experience. And very interesting thing about being a life coach, for those who need help as caregivers, is we are impartial, okay? There is definitely empathy, but we are not emotionally involved in what's happening, which is very important because this makes us more logical. This makes us more realistic. This makes us more helpful. And of course, there's a rule, I don't know if you know about it or not, in medicine, the best doctor cannot do an operation for his or her son or daughter or wife because they will never be impartial. Okay? And definitely being impartial also, not get involved in the family issues that they usually have. Because as a family, they will have challenges. Who's in charge and who's doing this and who's doing that and so forth. So, how does a typical session work? For some of us who are not actually life coaches, the first thing, there has to be some kind of a connection, whether a referral, whether someone heard about us, on Instagram or others. There is a connection. We start actually with a session with active listening and asking questions. Okay? There has to be a trust between both parties. Okay? And definitely, it has to do a lot with confidentiality and privacy. We talk about the pain point or pain points. We look at the root causes. We talk about the goals. We put an action plan. And always the coach is the accountability partner. For example, if I try to lose weight, which is happening all the time, because tomorrow is a new day, and I would always say, well, today is free, and I'll start January 1st. Anyway, if I don't have someone who is with me and who's telling me, so what's happening with you the past week? How are you doing? How are you eating? And so forth. Then I will definitely let it go. So a life coach is actually working with this home caregiver step by step. What's the outcome? Resilience. And I think the magic word, sumud, we've been hearing it for the past 2.5 years with Gaza, and we've been hearing it about Palestine and all these things. The person becomes more resilient. And there are two words in Arabic, which I really like, is being tough and being able to deal with the changes, but at the same time being flexible with what's happening with the patient and try to find ways to deal with it. Okay? We definitely have better understanding of our role. We try to find balance for our emotions and definitely have a better outlook on life. Meaning, if I am dealing with this patient, I know it's bad and it's horrible, but maybe I can look at the bright side of it, where I am telling myself, I get to see my mother more. I'm trying to help her more and other things. There has to be a silver lining that I need to see, that I try to see. Okay, so what's the bottom line for the past 40 minutes that we've been talking about? There are three tracks that we talked about. There is God and his plans. Okay, and as they say in the US, if you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans. There is a plan of what's happening to the patient and so forth. There is definitely a medical condition that we have to understand, that we have to evolve with it. And it's very important that we celebrate every day as is. And we cannot say, you know what, I wish tomorrow will be the same, because she remembers everyone, because the patient all of a sudden is being more interactive. But it has to be day by day, or else it will be difficult. And then ultimately, our mental condition. How are we actually dealing with all these things? And how we evolve with this disease and the caregiving step by step. So unfortunately, there is no magic wand that will actually make everything go away. It's nice if it's there, but unfortunately it's not. And if you remember the movies about the world wars that happened in the past, and you will see kids hiding under the sheets, of course, thinking that if they do that, nothing will happen to them. So the magic wand is not there. It is a process. It is a journey, okay, that we have to go through as caregivers and help the patient and try to keep sanity. But again, it's difficult. And it's time consuming. because it's a process that has to go into different steps. As much as what Mona said about what patients go through from a psychological point of view, okay, I'm not a psychologist, but I know we as caregivers, we go through a process, okay? We go through better understanding. We go through more maturation in trying to deal with this issue. This is my email. If anyone would like to catch up with me or connect with me, we need to understand really that this is actually a journey. And I put this on purpose. The ups and downs are actually our emotions. And there are stations, there are phases that if we read about the disease, we know the patient is going from one phase to the other, okay? And that's really important for us to understand. I think one of the most painful things that I have witnessed with my mom, and Alzheimer's patients go through different phases. And one of them is just having anxiety, okay, being alert all the time, cannot sleep, you know. And you say, I wish for my mom to sleep at night so she can rest, okay? I wish my mom does not have that anxiety. She wants to leave home. She doesn't want to stay home. She's restless. But then she goes to another phase where unfortunately you start noticing that she's sleeping all the time. You would say, you know what, I wish I can go back to the old days, but it is what it is. And we have to understand that, okay? It's difficult. But again, as I said, to stay sane, to stay supportive, we need the energy, we need the perspective all the time. And there are always people around us who will help us. And as I started my discussion and sharing my story, because I know everyone has a story, I have to thank many people. My two brothers, Nael Yazan, my wonderful wife, my wonderful wife, my better half, of course, and the kids, and Al Malad, who really helped me go through this whole thing. I was not the only champion, okay? There are people who work behind the scenes and keep pushing you and keep helping you and trust you. Thank you so much for taking the time. I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen to this discussion. And I hope it was helpful. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Nael. We'll be taking questions. You can please raise your hand if you have raise a hand, and then we'll take your question, or you can write them down in the chat box. Nael, I know your favorite quote is, "We rise by lifting others." And
Yes.
this really comes through, it shows through, you know, with your passion for helping others. الله يرحمها والدتك في جنان النعيم بإذن الله. الله يرحم أهالينا الموجودين واللي رحلوا عنا. I think this is a journey we're all going through, and I want to share my favorite quote, which is, first we are children to our parents, then parents to our children, then parents to our parents, then children to our children, which means that we go through 4 phases in life. The very first phase and the very last phase, we are looked after first as kids and then as elderly people. And in the middle 2 phases, where I personally am, we look after our children and then we start looking after our parents. So I think, yani, haram, it's fair and square that we look after people and we are looked after by people. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So please, if
Mona, you're muted.
I hope I wasn't muted all throughout. I was?
No. Just after you said your quote, that's
okay.
when you decided to mute.
Right. I said if anyone wants to share an experience or anything that's relevant to our topic. Please, Huda, go ahead. Unmute yourself, Huda.
Actually, I wasn't planning to share. And thank you, Nael. This topic it's not like it revived, because I've never been out of the phase where my mother was ill, and I resonate with so much of what you have said. But I'd like to add another perspective as well. Like, I do see my mother's journey is much easier, though it was so tough, than, for example, currently my father's journey. And why? Because he is alert, and he's getting old, so aging, and he refuses to be aged. So accidents, it's all the time happening. And he needs to be convinced as a patient for everything and about everything. And so many challenges, yet it's a totally different story. And you can't say he has a disease that is fatal and I have to go with this. But we are doctor shopping all the week, and different challenges. But I would say that between me and my brother, we go into caregiver burnout a lot in cycles or at the same time. And it's even more challenging than my mom, because my mother was in bed and immunocompromised and all of this in that home, I mean, like, it was more clear to me who I am, a healthcare provider anyway, by, practice and nature. And it's like, this slide about the decision, okay, about taking the tough decision every day. You wake up with, okay, what decision would I be making today, or he will be making today? And unfortunately, sometimes I deliberately don't go there because I have no petrol left, for example, and I feel guilty, and then it goes into this cycle. So I just needed to share, like, yes, we need to take care of ourselves to continue the journey with different stories.
Thank you.
And be there for all loved ones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I point out here that when we talk about caregiving, it could also be not to patients. It could be to special needs in the families, anyone with special needs, a sibling, a niece, a nephew, a son, a daughter. That's also a battle. So many decisions involved, so much heartache.
Now you have Dima and Reem raising their hands. If you can, please let them give them space. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, I don't see any raised hands from my
Okay,
end.
you have Dima.
Dima, yes, Dima,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. It's been quite some time since I joined you, but this was really amazing. And Nael, thank you really so much, because you were not speaking, you were talking from your heart. Okay, and I felt in every single word the emotions, and how much you loved your mom. May her soul rest in peace. Also, I believe that you just touched all of our hearts and souls. So thank you.
Thank you.
I lost personally my father when I was like 15 or 16. I was the eldest. My mom was very young. I had like my brother and sister who were, just babies, kids. It was really tough. And, at an early stage, you start looking into the world with, totally different perspective. Still, it makes you appreciate all of the other, I don't know what to call it, blessings that we have, and appreciate the other marvelous souls that are surrounding us, So thank you. Thank you, really.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you, really. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dima. Reem, please go ahead. Reem Tanashar, yes. Reem, can you hear me?
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام. تفضل يا هلا.
Thank you, Nael, for the presentation.
ريم, I think there's a problem with the sound. في عندك, can you please raise your whole voice? Make sure the mic is working.
Yes.
Or, please, thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Nael, for the presentation experience, and thank you for the audience for sharing their experiences to
Reem, I think you have a problem with your connection. There's a lot of interruption in your speech. Nancy.
Hello. Okay. I'll disconnect.
Okay, try again, please.
I think her internet connection had broke up.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Anyone else until Reem comes back on again?
I can go next.
Please go on, Safiya.
Hello everyone. Thank you Nael so much صراحة.
Thank you.
الله يرحمها أول شيء ماما، يعني I resonate a lot. أنا كمان يعني برضه درت بالي على ماما وكانت ألزهايمر، فأنا يعني شاركك المشاعر completely wholeheartedly for 10 years. يعني ماما كانت ألزهايمر، فبالنسبة لي caregiving I learned it the hard way. I was alone, my brothers and sisters were not here. So لإلي كان تحدي كبير، وكنت أصغر بالعمر وما كنت لسه داخلة لايف كوتشنج وما كنتش عندي هذا الوعي at all. فبالنسبة لي كان كله I learned it the hard way, went through phases, did my best as you said, and I wasn't realizing the things I went through. يعني زي ما أنت قلت social disconnection, loneliness sometimes, but I was so blessed as well. I had a good helper at that time, a lot of like support from friends, because all of my sisters and like brothers, they were not here. It was really interesting, and I still have this ongoing. I take care of my sister now. So my sister has special needs. So it's been really for me going on since more than 10 years, like more and more. Like it's been a long time. And it definitely, like I have my face or like head bumped into the wall with a lot of frustration and as you said, loneliness and anger and same time blessing, and it's so much mixed feelings. And it's a lot of like learning about myself and how do I grow patience. Like I want to say one thing that, and actually two things, faith and patience. I always ask myself, بسأل حالي شو عم تعلمني أختي بالذات، يعني لسه أكثر challenging من والدتي الله يرحمها، لأنه كمان زي ما أنا حكت هدى ماما كانت يعني more peaceful، ما فيش شيء مختلف وضعها كان. أختي she's a very strong personality، فبالنسبة لي حدا صاحي حاير بيحكي بياخد وبيعطي، وبنفس الوقت عندها شوية limitation in her brain، فيعني بس very smart. فقد ايه أنا عم بتعلم عن my feelings. The best life coach I think is my sister now to show me that mirroring my feelings. So we learn a lot actually. It's a lot of blessings, a lot of stretches. So I just wanted to share that, and want to thank you a lot for the great wrap up. You have captured a lot of important dimensions, and I'm really grateful for you. Thank you, Nael.
Thank you, Safiya.
Thank you, Safiya. Reem, would you like to try again?
When I also have Lubna raising her hand, okay?
Lubna, please go ahead. Hi, Lubna.
Hi, I'm not very good at technology. Anyway, hi everyone. Nael, thank you so much. I always love listening to you talking. I want to, I was a caregiver for both my parents, who sadly both passed away. And there's always, and I was there full time. But there's always a sense of guilt that, did I do enough? Am I doing enough? Have I done enough? Should I have? So, you know, and now I'm taking care of my uncle whose children don't live here. And there's always the guilt. Am I doing enough? And then you don't want to overstep and bombard them with your attention. So how do you balance this guilt that you have within you?
Lubna, that's a very good question. I think it comes from us believing that we have done our homework seriously and communicating this to us first. And am I doing my homework? Am I doing the best for this person? Okay. And with time, we realize, guilt just eats you from inside and prevents you actually, if you are going to spend an hour or 2 or 3 مع هذا المريض, it's distracting so much because it takes over, instead of you spending time in whatever capacity. Guilt is a big problem. And I think it's one of the things, like maybe Safiya said, where you start learning more about yourself, is actually see this demon inside you, and make sure it's under control. It cannot be under control every day. But maybe, again, because I am in the medical sector, and I understand things, how they work, it doesn't have to be very thorough. But you realize إنه في عنا هيك وفي عنا هيك وفي عنا هيك, and this is what's happening. I hate to say it's common sense, because actually it's not. But you start accepting what's happening, and as also what Mona said, going through the cycle yourself, because the patient goes through the cycle, but you as a caregiver, you also go in a parallel cycle where you have to where you start denying, and you see the strong person all of a sudden very weak, and so forth. So what I'm trying to say is, guilt is something inside us, and maybe the only way we can overcome it, or maybe tame it, is really to know that we did our best, and that's the best we can do, and let go and let others do what they're supposed to do, including God. خلص ربنا عنده بلان لهذا الشخص. Thank you.
نائل، بدي أضيف شغلة على حكيتها.
Yes.
الجلت أو أي شعور، كان غضب، resentment، whatever feelings بتكون triggered من وراء هاي الرعاية. اللي أنا بالنسبة إلي تعلمته كتير منيح، واللي بعدني عم بتعلمه، إنه to embrace these feelings, not to tame them. Yes. أنا for me في عندي غضب بيطلع عنيف، يعني ممكن فجأة كل عبدون تسمع صوتي وأنا بصيح. لما مرات خلص بكون واصلة لهون مو قادرة أتحمل مور، فبصيح. I really embrace هذا الجزء مني اللي حرام، حامل كتير، يعني معها حق تغضب، معها حق to be resentful. It's okay. I'm a human being. And there are no demons, because we are really doing great job. So إحنا مو جوانا شياطين، إحنا جوانا مشاعر وأجزاء منا بدها عن جد إنه طبطبة. We've been handling a lot. So I believe, and at the same time, في هذا, this is the true هيك, the true calling in our hearts, that we were chosen for this for a reason. And it's a divine mission. And this is where we incorporate again all of these feelings and say, okay, it's fine. What are we learning? What do you need? It's like this dance between both. So incorporating هدول وembracing هدول الفيلينجز هو اللي أنا بالنسبة لي هلا عم بعمل لي هذا البالانس. Otherwise كنت ماشي بطريق مسدود ورايحة على طريق الشياطين أكيد لو ما عملت هيك. Honestly, this is really, يعني I'm joking about it, but I'm not joking. It is really something that you can really hit your head على الحيطة وتخبطه وتعمل ممكن تعمل جريمة. بس whenever you have faith and you incorporate it, magic happens and you get balance again. And بتضلها رايحة جاي الشغلة يعني. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mona, can I comment?
Please go ahead.
A quick one, because of time.
No problem. Yes.
Yeah, for Lubna, I mean, كتير فاهمتك. I do understand really the guilt trip, and you know, it's an endless journey that I live in for years. عشان ماما كم من سنة وبابا كم من سنة، ويعني it's an ongoing, and the way بلاقي it's soothing me is really why do I feel guilty? Am I missing something? Am I afraid of something؟ يعني بسأل حالي، وبلاقي حالي مرات إنه and that is what my comment، بلاقي حالي إنه I detach from الempathy والحنان مع بابا and become more of a machine and of accommodating, fulfilling the needs, the physical needs. Okay, the minute بنتبه لها وبصير أكتر أدخل معاه بإمباثي وديسريجارد كل الأشياء التانية، الجلد تبعي بيهدى. ف just sharing this if it's calling you إنه عشان كل جلد شكل، كل جلد شكل. I cannot generalize. It's a one feeling. The guilt it's various, it's different. أمي بقول إنه هذا because she left the guilt, because maybe if I did better she would have stayed one day 1 minute longer مثلا. بس that is human يعني إنه that's just because of love يعني بطلع. بس that's what
I am. One last comment, and then we can take one more comment before we close. I just wanted to say we talk about the frustration and the anger, and it's absolutely justifiable. We didn't talk about setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is very important for the care provider. Also respecting the autonomy of the person who's in need, who's being cared for, and their preferences, and also involving them in decisions related to their health to the extent possible, obviously. I just wanted to share that.
يلا فتحت لنا جروحنا يا نائل.
ريم
Can I say
ألف
my
سلامة. Yes, sorry,
Can I say
Nael.
just
Reem, ألف سلامة to your mother. I'm sorry you couldn't participate. Thank you for sharing in the, by writing. Thank you. In the chat.
منى إذا بتسمحي لي عشان ما أطول على الباقيين. I just have one final comment. And the reason I brought this into the discussion, it could have been a simple PowerPoint presentation where we go through the whole thing and go home. But we cannot help because we are being touched by these journeys. And I truly believe, as a life coach and as a person, when we share experiences that are difficult to us, or whether they are good to us, with others, it just resonates better. So we don't come out as professor of psychology وقاعد بحلل كيف الأمور لازم تمشي, but rather being connected. And I'm very happy that ultimately we talked about our personal experiences. I know there's no time for everyone to talk about them, but this is the reason I spoke about the journey with my mother. Well, I truly appreciate all the kind words that you said, and God bless you all, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much,
Thank you. Thank you, Nael. Thanks from all of us. Thank you. This was very enlightening. This touched a very soft spot for all of us. Please, I really can't thank you enough. This is very relevant to all of us, Nael. Stay tuned for activities by ICF Jordan. We have an activity every other Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. Sometimes on a Saturday, we have half-day sessions that are very professional, they're paid sessions. And we have an upcoming MENA panel discussion on coaching Generation Z. That will be on the 10th of September. So stay tuned, follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on our website, obviously. Thank you all. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.